This is an ABC News special report.
Does society value history?
Good afternoon, I'm Dev Bott.
I'm Dylan Riffle, and this is the Ayala Broadcasting Corporation on Channel 8.
Today's report, The Dilution of the Past, regards the revisionism of history by modern society, and the question of, does the current population value history?
For this, we have our field correspondent, Derek Rowan, to answer this question.
Thanks, Dylan. Earlier today, I interviewed 2 high school students at a track meet regarding these topics. So, Micah, what do you think about the importance of remembering history, and do you think past events can repeat themselves?
I think remembering history is pretty important because, if you don't remember the past, then you can't learn from your mistakes, and if you don't learn from your mistakes, you'll just make them again.
All right. And then, do you think people today edit the past in an attempt to forge past events or change history? Do you think that's common?
I think it's pretty common, in the media, they'll just change their reports to how they want them, and they'll change their perspectives to make you see how they want you to see it.
All right, Jacob, what do you think about the importance of remembering the past, and do you think past events can or will repeat themselves?
I think it's very important to remember the past, because how will you know about the mistakes that our history is, or the people in our history have already made, and how to work past that if you don't remember the past.
Okay, and then do you think revising the past, going back and changing news articles and editing history, do you think that's common today, and what do you think about that?
I think it's very common, possibly just to forget very traumatic events in history and make everyone try to forget it as well, and just basically erase it from history, which is not always the best case scenario to do.
Thank you for that. Now for a quick commercial break.
What's with them?
Well, those two, they're always fighting for attention.
There's more to a legendary city than its legends. Plan your legendary stay at visitphilly.com.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were discussing the importance of preserving history.
Obviously, these interviewees value history. However, how does the world fare with history as well as other people?
To follow up, let's view a recent situation in Croatia, where nationalistic politicians are reluctant to revise Croatian history.
This situation was further explained by Business Insider, who wrote the following. He, the headmaster of Sibnic's technical school in Croatia, had a problem with the Ustash being painted negatively after turning several panels outlining the brutality of the Ustash fascist regime.
Let's go back to our historical analysis, Mateo Ceballos and Derek Rowan.
Thanks, Dev. In 1949, George Orwell stated in his bestseller novel in 1984, "He who controls the present controls the past. He who controls the past controls the future." This alludes to the current situation in oppressed governments. Back to you, Dev.
Thanks, Mateo. However, this does bring up the question of how history is read or being written in today's society, which is answered in a second article by BBC News.
In this article, the author states that historians rewrite the past and focus on what is and what is not necessary in terms of history. This is determined by the time they live in themselves, and therefore the question they ask.
Let's return to our second analyst, Derek Rowan.
George Orwell was one of the most influential writers of his time, and his work still occupies the bestsellers list. One of his most notable lines from 1984 was, "We control matter because we control the mind. Reality is inside the skull." This illustrates how minuscule society's dilemmas are in scale with realistic conflicts. Back to you, Dev.
Thanks, Derek. Even though revisionism is cast in a negative light, some countries have attempted to use it to identify past mistakes in order for them not to repeat it again.
In the third article by China Daily News, editor Li Yan describes how Japan was recently reformed its textbooks to outline the atrocities of Japanese soldiers in World War II.
Li Yan writes that these new textbooks fully reflect the crimes committed by Japanese soldiers within the war in an attempt to emphasize past mistakes for the future.
With that in mind, we would like to conclude our broadcast of history's relevance in today's modern world.
And from all of us at ABC 8,
Thank you and have a good night.